ever had a time or a season in your business where you did everything you were supposed to do and ended up with disappointing results? This is Anna, and I am with
Mubarak and Sekareja. Anna, that's a
right.
powerful question. Can you repeat it for the audience, please?
Yes. Have you ever had a time or season in your business where you did everything you were supposed to do and ended up with disappointing results? By the way, before you answer that question, this is episode 17 of Organic Reach X, and we're talking about you are organic. What does this mean?
Wow. Wow. Uh, fun enough, our podcast is called Organic Reach
Right.
X, right? So what does it mean to be organic? That's a good question. And what does it has to do with the first question Anna asked, that you go ahead and you fold the plan, you fold everything to the T, but still had the opposite outcome than what you had intended to have?
Mhm.
The answer to that is because you're organic. You're not, what's the opposite organic?
Rigid.
You're not rigid, right? You have so many things that are happening. And also when you live in a real world we live in, which is organic, where there is so many outside forces that you don't have control over,
Yeah.
right? You shouldn't even be worried about that question, because if that's happening is an indication that you're organic. So you should be celebrating, saying, yeah, I'm on the right track. That's an indication that you're organic, you're not rigid, right? But what's the price that most of us we pay for not remembering how organic we are, how organic the universe we live in is? And this, you had some things that you wanted to share, and your experiences of how this itself has played out in your life.
Yeah. So I just got reminded of this recently in our experience, right, with our own launch, actually. I don't know if you want to talk about it here, but I guess we can now. There are some things that didn't go well with the launch. And we did a debrief as far as the launch, and I'm like, why are these things happening, right? Or why did this happen the way it did, or why did it play out this way? And again, we're asking why, not how,
There
right?
you go.
We're not judging the results of it, but we're considering the bigger picture of it. It's like, okay, what were the signs that could have told us that maybe this wasn't meant to be, or where did we miss the mark,
Mm.
right? And you reminded me that we are organic, and that this is why we're talking about this today, is because we were trying to do things a certain way that we've seen others do launches, right? But we are organic, we are our own individual people, right? And so how we do things, because it's organic reach X, right? How we do things is going to be different than how other businesses would do product or program launches, right? And so I like that we got that wisdom out of that experience, right? So hopefully you have some context about why we're talking this way, because you listened to the last two episodes about progression, right? Because from this experience, we realized that we were trying to do all the shoulds. You should do this, you should do that, you should do things a certain way, and all that stuff. And we weren't going with the flow anymore because we got caught up in the shoulds. And so it was holding us back, right? And so use that our experience to see, like, where are you doing it in your business, in your life, in your relationship? It's like, you should do this, you should do that. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how society says it should look like. This is what looks good to others, right? All the shoulds. Because I feel like when we're following all the shoulds, we are forgetting to tune in to our intuition, what makes us unique, our gifts, our talents, our skills, right? So I think it's very helpful to take the time to really ask ourselves at any point when we're, especially when we're experiencing challenges, right? To say, okay, what does my intuition say about this?
Mhm,
And to tune in, you know, am I still in the flow?
mhm.
That was a huge learning moment for me.
Uh, with that also, we need to be reminded, right, that in solving problems, right, there is technical problem that can be solved by step. Let's not
Mhm.
forget that, right?
Right.
No. But also there is organic problem that cannot be solved with a technical knowledge.
Mhm.
That as long as there is a human element into it, right? There is things that can happen, right? So when you bring now a complex problem which has a technical and organic aspect, right? But now you forget that there is organic and you're only focusing on the technical side, that can be a problem,
Yeah.
right? Because this organic is that individuality that we talked about aspect in a previous episode that you're bringing in within this technical side. Because business, yes, it can be technical, but who is running the business? It's you,
Yeah.
an individual who is an organic person, which is why it's important. Why are you doing this business and what are you trying to accomplish? Depending on those perimeters can affect the technical side of things.
Mm.
So
The execution.
we are not forgetting that there is a technical side. No. So from a technical side point of view, we had everything good. But again, because we're organic, as she's saying, we are so much, for us, we operate our business with intuition, with how does it feel?
Yeah.
Does it resonate within? If it doesn't resonate, we don't. But
Yeah.
again, because we're organic, sometimes we get distracted with life, we forget to check in to say, okay,
Mhm.
what does this come in here? Right? And that's why even we're sharing with you this, because we're not telling you what happened 6 months ago, what happened a year ago. We're talking about what happened this week as of recording of this episode,
Yeah.
right? So this is not something that we read in books. No,
Mm.
this is the thing that we're experiencing as organic beings,
Yeah.
right? And we're hoping that you as an organic being too know that rigidness has its place,
Yeah.
right? Technical solution, technical problem has their price. But you as an individual, you need to bring that element and counter it in within the solution and strategy that you're planning, that there is that aspect of organic,
Yeah.
and give it some percentage to know that, hey, when you're checking in, you need to check on that side too.
Yeah.
Mm.
So on this topic, I started, it reminded me of the keywords that came to me were adaptability and tools. So being able to adapt to the situation, that's where the organic
Mhm.
nature of it comes in, right? Because when we saw that the launch wasn't going how we were supposed, how it was, we had it in our mind supposed to go, we adapted,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, so this happened. How can we adapt? Right? and what are the things that we can improve on our end, right? Because we never stop learning. We don't know everything. We humbled ourselves. Okay, apparently we didn't know everything about how to do a really good launch. How can we make it better, right? And then develop wisdom out of that, right? Going back to that 2 episodes ago. Um, so being able to adapt, right? So having that adaptability, which you talked about emotional intelligence yesterday in our coaching call with our clients yesterday, develops that emotional intelligence, right? That's where intuition comes in. That's where, all of this kind of inner work comes in, right? That what we do in Alpha Academy. And then having now, when you're adapting, what are the tools that are you using to adapt,
Mhm.
right? What are
Yes.
some exercises or practices that you have under your belt that can lead you to that clarity and that truth without all of the shoulds clouding your perception?
Thank you, Anna. Funny enough, yes, we talked about it yesterday with our clients. The first tool itself is this question: how did I adapt? Right?
That's a good
This,
one.
this event, right? Because when you know that you are organic being having a life experience here, as Anna likes calling it, right?
Mm,
That's most important question that most of us we don't ask ourselves, because in previous episodes, we talked about the system theory, right? Because this is a good bug and talk about tools, right? The systems theory, we don't need to go much into it, but if you have been listening to us, we're not far away. Again, we're just 16 episodes right now, 17 episode. You should catch up. Our episodes are not big, because if you're liking what you're listening now, everything we shared before, it's that foundation. You need
yeah.
that foundation, because the more sense future episodes are going to make sense. Okay. So
Mhm.
in one of the episodes, we talked about system theory, and we talked about the system, and also Anna did a great job of presenting it in a video format. You can go see what I'm talking about. Within a system, there is always a disturbance,
Yeah.
right? A disturbance is something that you don't have control. It's the outside element, right? It's you driving and someone cutting you off. You can't anticipate that and plan for it. All you can do is adapt.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? No matter how plan you are, no matter how rigid you are, you can't say, hey, nobody's gonna uh, uh, cut me off. Nobody is gonna do whatever, honk at me. Nobody is gonna come in front of me and stop me from moving. You can't. And you
Yeah.
can't predict things. They're unpredictable. But the
Mhm.
question is, how are you going to adapt when it happens?
Yeah.
So that's the first tool. The first tool is ask this question at the end of that event, or at the end of the day. For me, I like asking this question every day. All right,
Mm,
how did I adapt?
mm,
Right. But now, when you're adapting, when you're answering that question, you need to be honest to yourself.
yeah.
Right. Don't lie, because you're talking to yourself anyway. If you not have a coach or a mentor or a accountability partner, which I wouldn't recommend if you haven't done this for yourself first, right?
Yeah.
You start doing it yourself. Hold yourself accountable as a human being, as an adult, because if you're watching this, we hope you are. You're a responsible person.
Yeah.
Sit down and ask this question: how did I adapt? If there was certain anxiety, if there was uncomfortness, if there were certain feelings that you felt, right? Do that inventory to find out, how did I adapt?
Mm,
Because with that information, it can be the fuel you need to create the second plan, another execution again, right? And then you keep repeating the same thing. So what are the tools that you do, right? Is what we did, Anna.
yeah.
And how did you call that call?
Debrief.
There you go. So part of the question of how did I adapt? You're debriefing yourself on
Mhm.
what you did. So that's another tool that you got it. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're doing
Yeah.
with yourself, the best way is to do what I call the brain dump.
Mm.
Getting a pen and paper all the way, or go on your digital favorite tool. That's if it's a Google Doc or spreadsheets or iPad Note, right? Whatever tool, it doesn't matter. The mechanics here don't matter. Just all you need to do is do the brain dump, right?
Yeah.
Fun enough about the brain dump, I have a tool in the coaching called the daily email, right?
Mhm.
Clients send me questions, right? Fun enough that this is happening, and I hope the person won't mind. I'm going to read something that, again, we did a debrief on this one specific question to give you an example of how you would go, of what goes in here when you put it on a paper and then looking at it. Because there's this saying that you can't solve the problem with the same mindset that created it.
Yes.
So when you're asking yourself, how did I adapt? You're trying to separate that problem with a new mindset, because that
Yeah.
mindset of asking how did I adapt, it's not the same mindset that created whatever problem you're adapting or debriefing from. Because
Yeah.
if you're not debriefing and you're not asking question, that means you're still part of the problem,
Yeah. You're stuck.
right? But as soon as you ask yourself, time to debrief, how did I adapt, you're no longer the same mindset that created that problem.
Hmm. And you're going to
And
learn
of
lots about
course, you're
yourself.
going to
Yeah.
learn a lot. So let me share with you, give me a minute. It's my technology here.
While you're doing that, Mubarak, I want to add another question to that. After you answer the question, how did I adapt? Is why did I adapt the way that I did?
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
Yeah.
good one. So Anna, sorry again, we love putting each other's on a support, on spot. I want you to listen to this statement, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to approach the question about getting some money from the business. I know I have brought money into the business, and I know that I deserve it. Okay? So this is debriefing. This is someone doing questioning their thinking, right?
Mm.
Basically, they're debriefing and they're seeking counsel here, right? So the person is giving me information, and the question was, I'm not sure how to approach the question about getting some money from the business. I know I have brought the money into the press, and I know I deserve it. So when they asked this question, I said, wait a minute. I'm like, feel sorry for your mind. Think about, like, who in the right mind would have that statement the same way? Because I had the right to tell him this way, because he understands that what goes up here, when you put it here, sometimes doesn't make sense. You look at it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
says,
Yeah.
what? Wait, this is what I was thinking?
You're
What?
right.
Right?
Right.
So that's what happened here, because it's like, I'm not sure. I'm like, okay, how are you not sure when you're saying that you know there is money? So you see, I'm not sure, but there is money. But
Right.
okay, how can those two things exist in one place? So now it's existing in your head. So that's why you
Mhm.
need to debrief. That's why
Yes.
you need to see, how did I adapt? Because now he can look at it and says, oh, no. So let's first address I'm not sure. How do we address I'm not sure? We get clarity.
Yeah.
And then when he has clarity, then he can have certainty. Then he's not going to say, I'm not sure. He's going to say, I'm sure I should be
Right.
paid. You see?
Yes.
But all comes down to that simple exercise of brain dumping and now objectively looking at what you just dumped and questioning it and says, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Or can this serve me better for my next, which I think, I don't know if we talked about it in a previous episode where I would say preparation
No,
is
we
more,
haven't talked about it
we haven't talked about that yet, right?
yet.
When you're adapting and asking it, now you're preparing for the next
Right.
challenge that is going to come. The next disturbance is going to find you well prepared because of this information that you have. Guess
Yeah.
what? Now, when he corrected this thinking of saying, wait, it's not that I'm not sure. I am sure. When he
Right.
corrected it, next time it comes back, as we looked from previous episode, with knowledge and experience comes understanding.
Mhm.
You see? And now he's able to serve himself better for the next time. And when he serves himself better, he's able to serve others. You see, so it works well. And that's why we can't recommend it now. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, to go back.
Yeah.
Because the more sense what we're saying at this moment in time gonna make sense.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I was gonna make a point, but I totally forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, it's really good stuff. I think this is an important thing that to debrief and again ask why did I adapt the way that I did? Right?
Mhm.
Because that was the point I was gonna make is that most of the time we have thoughts in our mind that we don't even know why we think that way,
Yeah,
that are lies. But if we don't put it up to scrutiny and say, wait a minute, I was thinking that,
yeah,
what kind of person would think that way? That's so stupid or silly or whatever, right?
yeah,
But like not judging yourself either, right? When you're doing that debrief, just see it for what it is. This is
yeah,
what happened. You know, how did I adapt and why did I adapt the way that I did? What can I do better next time?
yeah. And also
Yeah.
when you add it, have fun because you have
Yeah.
no idea. This morning I was laughing my head off. Me with the client who shared that, and we're really hilarious laughing about it. We're like, okay, how can our mind think this way, right? Because we're we have intelligence, we have wisdom, right? But
Mhm.
the innate nature, the organic nature of being a human being is completely something else. So
Yeah.
that's why every feeling is not true. Every emotion that you're feeling, it's not true. It could be a snapshot. Remember,
Right.
if you have seen the
Right.
previous episode, you know what we're talking about. So when
There's
you're done,
also,
go ahead.
sorry, there's also some deeper teachings that I know of, but hopefully I cannot share, but there's some deeper teachings that I know that i- is affecting why we think that way and why that sometimes it doesn't make sense. So that's why
Yeah,
it's good to use the questions that we gave you in this episode to ultimately scrutinize those thoughts and really like, you know, what is true and what isn't true.
mhm. And I want for the viewers to, first of all, because this is something deep that Anna just said. She said there's some teachings that I know that could be causing the way you're thinking that way, but she didn't share them. Why? Because she doesn't know where you're coming from.
Right.
She doesn't know because, again, as someone in authority, someone with the responsibility, someone with power to be able to communicate to you right now with the most uh, precious thing that you're giving us, which is your time. She don't want to give you an opinion. She don't want to give you an advice without asking you why you need it or where you're coming from, because it could be the most dangerous thing that she could do. It's like seeing a cocoon, right? And it's popping and the butterfly is about to come out.
Yeah.
How the metaphoric way, what if she was to go and cut that cocoon and to let the butterfly out? is equivalent for her giving you that training.
Yeah.
Because you haven't hatched out yet.
Yeah.
And also, she doesn't know what stage you're in within that
Yeah.
cocoon, coming from a worm to a butterfly. She doesn't know which stage you're on. And
Mhm.
you can't jump stages. You have to go through, right? You have to ascend.
Yes.
So everything's, yeah, please go back and listen to previous episodes. And yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll leave it at that. This has been Organic Reach X.
Well, we show you how to go with the flow organically in your business.
See you next time.